Welcome back to Boston has entered the chat. You saw that logo. Sox win! Woo! 8-5 last night over the Twins. Should be a series win already, but another topic for yesterday's chat. I won't get into it. Thought it was a fluke in game one, but whatevs. They win last night, Case. That's all that matters. Giolito, 6 innings, strong. Roman, RBI. Breggy staying hot. Duran hit one to the moon, baby. Every time I look up, Cedon is making defensive play of the year again and again and again. Doesn't even matter where he plays in the field. He's making plays. This team is fun. They are exciting. They got the win last night. We all want to talk trade deadline. We'll get to it. Relax. Let's just bask in the win last night for a moment.
Yeah, when they're feeling it, it's so exciting to watch, especially because you see more of the individual personalities. I mean, the stare down after the curveball that Giolito had, and that smirk on the end of it that's like, I can switch it up on you. And then Cedon, as Pap says, I love when Pap says it, but the diving play in the 7th, I mean, all of these things that they're able to pull through on when they were counted against it beforehand. They came to life in the 3rd inning, so you kind of want to see these things happen quicker, but last time we said that we weren't seeing them show up in those later innings either. So this is a team that keeps you on your toes, but the excitement and the vibe is very much there. All
right, let's talk about it then, because Chris Cotillo from Mass Live was on our show yesterday, and we were peppering him with questions about the trade deadline. That's what we all want to talk about. It is tomorrow, of course. Here's what Cotillo said about the Red Sox maybe not going after the big splashy names like we originally thought they would.
Yeah, obviously control is going to be expensive. When you think about what Joe Ryan would cost, I'm sure the Twins are right now drawing the line at Roman Anthony plus. That's just not going to happen. So those conversations are not even worth having, really, if you're the Red Sox. So, always this time of year, I think teams who have those controllable guys look at it and say, if you blow us away before 6 o'clock on Thursday, maybe we'll do something. Otherwise, we can hold this guy to the offseason and hold a prolonged bidding war where everybody's a contender theoretically, except still the Rockies. They'll be, somehow out of it in the offseason too. But mostly these teams are all going to be, trying to contend, trying to build their rosters. Any team can use a starting pitcher who's under control for 2 or 3 years.
Yep.
There's just not that urgency in the next couple of days unless you blow a team away. I think last year it's come out that the Red Sox asked on Crochet and were told Anthony and Meyer and plus, and if you want to do that, you get them for the stretch run. They didn't. And by the time the offseason rolled around, the price was Teal and Montgomery and Mydroth and Gonzalez, the package that got it done. So if a team gets stupid for some of these guys, great, then those guys will move. Otherwise, the rentals are going to. I like, to me, guys who have been tested in the postseason, guys who you've seen, do it before. Charlie Morton is old, but he's a guy that's done it, and he's been better the last couple months. Gallen and Kelly, Arizona was in the World Series a couple years ago. Shane Bieber's a guy who's had, I know it's a weird situation where he's rehabbing his way back, but track record of success in the major leagues. You get, I don't know if reclamation project is the way to describe all of those guys. Some of them definitely are. Gallen has not had the year that he's accustomed to in Arizona, but guys that have done it before and hope they get on a heater for 2 months. We've seen them try different ways to do that in the past. Last year it was Paxton. There's people talk about that move not working. Like Paxton was a similar kind of addition as Nate Eovaldi was in 2018, probably one level below. But sometimes those are going to work out great. Sometimes they aren't. Maybe if the Red Sox do one of those with some upside, their rotation looks a lot better. But again, the depth pool is super depleted right now. And we're going to see, I think, them try to add to that.
What's interesting from that take is I felt like winning the Dodgers series specifically, I thought that would put pressure on Breslow and the front office to go out and be very aggressive, maybe even before the trade deadline, right? And we haven't seen that, but this is just where my head was. I actually think now, though, it wasn't so much winning, putting pressure on the front office to go out and make a big splashy move. I actually think now the front office is looking and saying, this team and the chemistry, we don't want to break that up. Right. We don't want to break up. They're tight, they're close, they're having fun. We talked about that before we got into the soundbite. I think now they're thinking, let's add without subtracting, okay? Like, let's see what we can get without giving up too much to just help what we have going. And I bet you they'll look for high character players too that can fit into what you do have in this clubhouse because they are tight knit. You say what you want about this group, about they need this or they need that in terms of a wish list for position. But at the end of the day, this team fights. They are tight. They are tight knit. Cora has a great pulse on it. That's why they had to get Devers out of here. I get it. I didn't love the return, but I get it. I think now looking at this, it's just a matter of if all of us can wrap our head around, there's not going to be the big splashy moves. But some of the names he said, Charlie Morton, Merrill Kelly, Zach Gallen, I mean, I can live with that if you're telling me I don't have to give up too much to get one of them. Does that make sense?
Yeah, of course it makes sense. So like while listening to that, I made a note and put a curated DNA of the clubhouse. And I think that when you make the move that they did, which is moving on from Devers because of all of the different speculations that took place, and then you just kind of see how this team found a new pulse after that, you talk about this being a business, and of course it's a business. There's always going to be that aspect of it, but I think a part of the business that we don't discuss is like when you have a pulse of a locker room, when you curate the DNA and identity, how many different Boston teams are we talking about right now that are in search of their identity, and therefore we can't talk about what they're going to produce on the other end? That part is just as important. And you've seen Durant do certain interviews where he talks about how they hold each other accountable, how they're able to have tough conversations with one another in the clubhouse. So this isn't somewhere where you would just kind of light a dynamite and throw a personality into the mix. I think it's just more like who can just add a little bit more of a level up here, and we know where that comes in, adding an arm to the mix-up. I think Kelly's an interesting name for a reason because it was talked about on Unobstructed Views how maybe the price point and the competition of price points just got too high. There's teams that are willing to trade valuable players because they're on a win-now basis. This is their last opportunity kind of thing, and therefore they're going to throw more into the pot, where the Red Sox are like, look at the curation of the DNA of the personalities that we have here. We've got a good group. We just need to add a level up to it. With that being said, the Tigers were pretty high up on Kelly last I was hearing, but now it seems like they're shifting gears, focusing on more of a relief pitcher. So if there's teams that start to get hyper-focused on just adding one different element, you might see some names pop back up into the mix. Not that we have much more time to figure that out. We've got less than 24 hours, but that's where I find Kelly to be a bit interesting in terms of like where they need to.
No problem. I don't have a problem with Merrill Kelly. I like Zach Gallen. Now, his situation's a little different. You know, it is a rental. He's looking for a deal. He's 29, I believe. But listen, that's a guy that I don't necessarily think that needs to be a rental either. I think you go trade for a Zach Gallen, right? He gets here, change of scenery. Maybe you get back that. He was once an ace, Casey. Maybe you can kind of tap back into that, whatever, and he pitches better, and then you work out a deal with him. I don't necessarily look at a lot of this stuff as a rental, too. I know a lot of people talk about that.
Do you feel like rental is the only avenue right now?
I think it's the realistic avenue because you don't know, right? I mean, hell, technically, Bregman's a rental. Technically, if you think about the way his deal's structured, he could walk right out of your life. All this stuff. So, look, in the end, you have to go for it now. This is the American League we're talking about. There is no dominant team here. So if I'm the Sox, I'm willing to add any of these guys. I mean, you talk about Merrill Kelly and you heard rumors for the Tigers. That's the last team I want to get. You see what I'm saying? So I just think right now the American League's wide open. You have to make some moves. You have to be aggressive. Sean McAdam of Mass Live has really said the Sox have kind of readjusted their sights as it pertains to pitching for this team at the deadline.
Yeah, I mean, we had, I think, started high on our expectations about what they might be able to do at the deadline and speculated that maybe if they were willing to give up a major league player like Jarren Duran and throw in another prospect, that could get them a number 2 type starter. That now seems completely off the table given the asking price. And now it's they've readjusted their sights a little bit to the point where they just need a back of the rotation guy, whether that be Charlie Morton, whether that be Merrill Kelly, whether that be anybody like that on a rental. They need someone to make 8 or 10 starts here the rest of the way because the way things are going, Fitz has not demonstrated that he's capable of giving them even 5, never mind 6 innings. And you're not getting Hunter Dobbins back. You're not getting all the people that we've run through. Cutter Crawford, likely not going to see Tanner Houck again. If we do, it's probably not in time to build up to start, maybe out of the bullpen. But the calendar is starting to work against them. Patrick Sandoval is not riding to the rescue as they had hoped he might be over the final 2 months. So they need a back-end starter. That would not seem to be impossible to find, but it will be expensive just because of the number of teams in the market looking for any pitching they can get whatsoever.
Yeah, listen, every trade deadline is very similar. Every team's always looking for pitching. Always. Every team's always looking for a bat, okay? And you know what? All the above is always available at the deadline. So this isn't like a situation where there's not enough pie slices to go around. Again, and it goes back to what we were talking about here, Case. What are the Red Sox willing to give up? That's the key. That determines the slice of the pie.
Yeah.
How big of a piece do you want? Because you got to pay to play here. You're going to have to give something up to get something back. In my world, these names were thrown out. Charlie Morton, Merrill Kelly. I like Zach Gallen, Shane Bieber, whatevs. I'll take any one of them and Yandy Diaz from the Rays, and I'm good.
You calm down on that one.
I know. By the way, I don't think that's going to happen. I know there's, rumors that the Rays are willing to part with him, whatever.
Yeah.
I ain't buying that. But in my dream world, if I can get one of those arms, maybe some bullpen help too, and a Yandy, I'm cool.
Yeah.
I'm good.
I think the interesting part about it is just how they're evaluating it, I think, series by series, because if you take it back a couple of weeks, even July 23rd, you were hearing from ESPN analysts saying that, like, the Red Sox were still going in as hard buyers, and that has shifted. So I don't think it's going to be an explosive trade deadline, for one. I think it's going to be a bit on the calmer side. I don't think they have to make too many big moves. I know fans want to see a lot of different things, first base, catcher, whatever the case may be.
Yes.
But most importantly, it's just going to be the arm.
I also think we have to give some love and some props and give their flowers to Bayo and Giolito, because obviously Crochet's Crochet. And he has lived up to the hype that he came in with. He came in with hype.
Yeah.
And he's lived up to it. So we're going to give him his just due. Cy Young, if you're asking me. But Bayo and Giolito specifically. Bayo, I thought his last outing should have won. He didn't get any run support. But he's been pitching well lately, and we saw Giolito last night.
Yeah.
They have done a really good job.
Yeah.
And so it puts the Sox in a position, really an advantage of, we just need someone on the back end. I kind of want a number 2 starter, to be honest. Like, I would like the big, sexy name.
Yeah.
But if all these reports are true, and our Mass Live boys broke this down for us, and they get a back-of-the-rotation guy, you can live with it because of how Bayo and Giolito are pitching lately.
Yeah.
They deserve credit.
Bayo took a huge turning point, roughly 4, 5, 6 weeks ago. So just seeing the trajectory that he's consistently been on, and when he gets run support, how great that's been to witness. And then Giolito, we were holding him in high regard heading into the All-Star break.
Yeah.
Rust was coming kind of in the mix coming out of All-Star break, but I think he started to find it again, and we saw a lot of those notabilities in his game last night.
I do not think we're here Friday melancholy. Like, oh, they didn't do anything. I don't think that's happening. Now, it may not be splashy, Case.
Right.
But I think the Red Sox will do something. They have to.
Something will take place.
All right, there it is.